So last week, China introduced a grand plan to help improve football in this country. That was in addition to its reformation launched in March 2015. The original strategy had an end goal to see the world's most populous nation become a football powerhouse. Now these ideas are in the early stages, but it seems they are moving the game in the right direction here, and a sudden influx of cash has also helped shape the game. Mike Fox has details.
It's been more than a year since the release of China's football reform plan, and as the country tries to improve their standing within the beautiful game, the nation made a bold statement when they decided to separate the Chinese FA from the General Administration of Sport, a change that many believe has been needed for a long time.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the few people who has consistently called for the separation of the China Football Association from the government for the last 15 years. So of course there's no one who's more delighted than me to see that the separation of the CFA and its reform into a representative organisation for the stakeholders in football is the most wonderful news that we could have had.
However, the process doesn't come without its issues, one being the relationship between the CFA and the teams in the Chinese Super League. It's thought that instead of the country's football marketing power being in the hands of the clubs, it's the association that calls the shots.
You know, the club owners of the Super League clubs, they would have the say in the China Super League company, but that company now is not the center point of Super League anymore. There is another so-called executive committee of China Super League, which has a lot more shareholders in that committee as the committee members. You know, it makes the whole picture murky. It's not so straightforward. It will involve lots of bureaucracy infights, which is not good for football in China.
I think we need a long process to change this gradually. Solving this problem needs joint effort from the Chinese Super League holding company and the CFA. The direction of the issue is clear, that we should let clubs play the key role in their markets.
The release of the plan comes as China's football market began to boom last year. Since then, the Chinese Super League has sold a 5-year television rights package for a record 8 billion yuan to media company Tiaodongli, and during the last winter transfer window, the CSL spent a record 2.4 billion RMB on new players. But with the heavy investment comes concerns regarding the priority of the spending back into Chinese football.
My concern would be that that is many millions, hundreds of millions of renminbi, which is being spent away from the grassroots.
I would say that Germany gave us a great example. You know, Germany, they had two disastrous international big competitions like the World Cup and the European Championship. What they do, they go back to the basics. They go back to grassroots and they make heavy investments into grassroots. And I think they made a great example that professional leagues, the professional clubs, could also contribute to youth development.
Although, in order for China's dream to be realised, a quick fix isn't an option, but there is room for optimism within the game's infrastructure, thanks to increased attendances and a clear improvement in the standard among homegrown and foreign talent. All this points to a new sign of new heights for Chinese football in the distant future. Mike Fox, CCTV.